minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice. Yeah.
T minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T minus 30 seconds.
Rick Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now you having some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it right
2,
here.
1, 0.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Football Card Quest. I'm your host, Andy Kazin. Got my main man, Steve, the eBay hitman, Caladesi, with me here tonight. We've got a lot of really juicy 2023 NFL rumors to talk about. And, of course, every single rumor we talk about in the Super Bowl predictions, we're going to parlay with football cards. We're going to hunt them deals down on eBay, Steve. How you feel about that, man?
There's a lot of deals to be had. I feel like the market's very healthy right now. And there's some guys that you'd think that there'd be deals on right now that have an awful lot of eyes on them, I've noticed. And we'll definitely get into that later in the show today. Andy, how's your evening? How's your day going?
Oh, man, it is good. I am still kind of in shock that Tom Brady has actually officially, has he? To Steve. First question I've got for you tonight. Do you think Tom Brady is actually retired for good? Is he going to stay away? I sold his rookie card instantly, and I listed it and literally sold within 5-10 minutes, and I probably could have gotten an extra $20, $30 from it. Shoot, it maybe have gone up even more. It was the 2000 Impact from Skybox, Fleer, Skybox, Impact, Brady rookie card. But I think he's retired for good. Steve, what do you think?
It was definitely more convincing than the first time. I said that there was a 0% chance the first time. It did seem a little more emotional, a little more believable this time, but I like to go with the true and tried. If he doesn't sign that paperwork, I'm not buying it yet. So I think that there's still a chance he comes back, but I'm still not sold that he's retired.
Not sold. All right.
The
there
man
you go,
gave
guys.
up his marriage to play football, and you think that he's just going to hang it up? Nah, not buying it.
Derek says 25% he returns, in my opinion. I'm sure there's some type of Vegas prop on odds that Tom Brady returns for 2023. If the right scenario opens up, I would not be totally shocked, although I would be surprised this time with an actual video. Last year, it was a written post. We've upgraded to an actual video this year. It's going to be hard for him to to do a double take on this one, but you never know. Either way, I sold on this initial news spike because I just see that after he actually retires, just like the Manning brothers or Drew Brees most recently, these guys retire, even if they go on to be television broadcasters, their value still typically just decline naturally over time because we're still in like overall from like the Hall of Fame players and the Grail cards of the hobby. You know, the 1986 Michael Jordans and Jerry Rice's and all that stuff. They're down from where they were when everything got crazy back in 2020. So I look at that and I'm like, well, I'm going to capitalize on a little news spike for Brady here because chances are his values do kind of slowly decline.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, anytime there's big news, you're always going to see a massive jump. There'll be fluctuations over time, and there doesn't always need to be a rhyme or reason for that. But I do agree it was a good time to sell. Unless you've got like something super, super rare, it's probably worth moving, and you can always get back into it at a later time.
Yeah, for sure. So, Steve, you and I were talking before the show. You've got a big market takeaway. Before we get to your Super Bowl predictions, we definitely want to get your Super Bowl predictions. Want to look at some prop bets for the Super Bowl. Of course, want to look at whatever deals we can find on eBay for guys like we're trying to start planning ahead. And you've had some big market takeaways this past week that I want to pick your brain about.
Pertaining to guys that seem to have a lot of attention on them in the hobby right now. Justin Fields is the most obvious one to me. And you talk about like Super Bowl time, the guys that everyone are buying or selling, or the guys that are actually in the Super Bowl. But oddly, I see Justin Fields cards not really declining in price. In fact, the Bears finished in last place, but he's getting bought up like crazy. And you could say the same for Jamar Chase. They made it to the the conference championships or the division championships. But Fields stuff seems really hot right now. If you look at any Fields rookie listing that's in a graded slab specifically, it's got a lot of eyes on it. And I'm not really seeing the prices fluctuate all that much. For this time of year, usually guys that are out of the game are down 15-20%. I'm just not seeing it for him.
Yeah, and I think this is a couple reasons for this, because he's got that perfect blend of being so young and so athletic. He's so good in the open field, can score from anywhere. Like, you got, highlight reels from his highlight reels from this past season are just insane when you watch him with the ball in his hands. And then you've got also the number 1 overall pick for Chicago. And there's just such a massive market, even though they did absolutely play. Overall, their win-loss record was terrible this past year. People are really excited about this young man. I think it's there is some stimulus coming in the hobby. There's a lot of people buying. I don't want people to get misconstrued about this out there. There is a lot of sold transactions happening on eBay every single day, and a large portion of these, I guarantee you, are being paid for. Of course, there's some riffraff out there, but there's a lot of people buying cards, and what they're doing now, because there's only one game left, they're retroactively or like retrospectively looking at last season and looking at the guys that performed the best, and they're starting to plan, because we have all this information at our fingertips. We're starting to plan for the upcoming season, right? And now that all the other teams are knocked out, besides the Chiefs and the Eagles, people are trying to get their fix by planning for the upcoming season. Plus, you have like tax returns and year-end bonuses and stuff like that still kind of circulating through people's pockets. And I see Justin Fields as one of those guys they're definitely buying into.
Yeah, that, and just from what I've seen from influencer channels in the hobby and other people who go to shows and stuff like that, and they said that there's an up spike in attendance and people are buying, people are selling, everything's going well. There seems to be more of I'm watching that same one too, but it's got a little bit out of my price range at the moment. But I mean, just look at that. That one's got 40 bids on it, but some of the other ones I was watching, like an orange disco, had like 50, 60 watchers on it. Actually, that one is showing as 61 watching, the one that you just had pulled up, that cosmic. So, but yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of the stuff that's really moving is the, bottom 3/4 of cards, I would say. So if you're looking at things like $500-$600 and over, it's slowed down a little bit on those. But most people can still afford to buy a card of a guy that they enjoy. No one can just roll out and buy a Brady rookie or a Mahomes rookie for the most part, but there's a selection of Fields cards you could probably buy. Maybe not a serial numbered select, maybe not a Prism serial numbered or an auto, but more modern guys. There are a wide variety of guys that you can buy given the number of sets out. So I think that in a way does help for a growing hobby that's going to go through its ups and downs.
Isn't that wild how the red, white, and blue PSA 10 out of 199 is so much lower? It's got over half as many. Like, you see that 26 bids versus 10 bids, and then you've got 3 minutes left on both of these. You've got the neon green out of 49. I already have 535 compared to 162.50. I almost feel like that red, white, and blue is a better value. I get it. The scarcity is essentially 3 times as much on the neon green, but there's no color match to that. and it got the same grade. And I feel like you got a little color match here with the red, white, and blue on this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people are paying a premium for the scarcity on that one, but I do agree. I think there's maybe more than price disparity than there should be. I actually, of the three, like that one better, and I don't even like die cuts, but I think that it just goes well with the uniform color and just the overall appeal of the card. And
that one's at 154.50. So a little bit lower. I think that's because of the die cut. You know, you gotta subtract $5 for every corner of the cardboard missing from the card. That's our die cut rule around here.
Select's one of the few companies. Well, I think this year compared to last year, they've really improved the die cut look. The 2020 die cuts I thought were just really hard to look at.
Why do you think this person put 3 icicle faces underneath this listing?
I don't know. I mean, if you were going to try to draw some attention, maybe something else, but I don't know, because it's winter. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense.
Normally, it's the fire emojis.
Yeah, why the opposite of that? I wonder.
The guy that's like
reverse psychology that we don't know about.
He's the Iceman. Is Justin Fields nicknamed the Iceman?
Maybe he'll steal it from Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Well, yeah, Matt Ryan is as cold as ice. That's definitely one of the rumors. The Colts have got to figure out something to do with their quarterback situation this offseason. You know what's interesting about this number 1 overall pick? You know, that was kind of Lovie Smith's parting gift to the Houston Texans front office for the way they did him this year. You got to think that he had a part in that. The Texans hired DeMeco Ryans, who's the 49ers defensive coordinator. They've been talking him up big time all year long. Actually, the past couple of seasons that he was a prime head coaching candidate in the league. Well, today at 5:30 p.m., DeMeco Ryans confirmed the team will be adding to its quarterback room. So this is significant news here for the Davis Mills truthers out there. Ryans was diplomatic when confirming the obvious at his introductory press conference. I'm going to quote, "We understand we have one quarterback here on our roster," talking about Davis Mills, "and we have to add more to that position." Ryan said, "The quarterback is one piece." A third-round rookie overachiever in 2021, Mills had not only plateaued as a sophomore, he regressed. Mills' 15 picks led the league. His supporting cast was an issue, but Mills did nothing to elevate it. With the Texans in position to draft a new franchise quarterback, the question for Mills isn't if he will start, but if the new coaching staff even wants him as the number 2. That's a bold statement there, Steve.
Nah. I mean, he didn't say anything other than the blatantly obvious. No roster can function with one quarterback, but in
well,
no
he's
way,
very diplomatic about it.
Well, there was no implication that obviously there'll be at least a quarterback battle. I would say that given the way he played last year compared to his first season, I would think that would be almost an obvious at this point. But they didn't say looking to supplant. They didn't say looking to compete with. They didn't really say anything. They just said we need to add to our quarterback depth, which, I mean, if any team had one quarterback, even if your quarterback was Joe Burrow, that'd still be an applicable statement because, yeah, you need a backup quarterback and you need depth. So I don't think they're necessarily committed saying he's not the starter, but they're going to bring in competition. I think that's almost a certainty.
And the thing is, like, the cheapest way to bring in competition, unless you're planning on bringing in one of these old retread quarterbacks that we've seen not work around the NFL, except for Geno Smith, surprisingly enough. I mean, you draft a guy. I mean, they got a top 5 pick. Draft a guy. Draft your guy, man. Draft Bryce Young. And then, okay, let him compete. But I'm pretty sure Bryce Young will beat out Davis Mills in the camp, and then all of a sudden there's the hype that we've been looking for. Steve, we want this for Nico Collins and John Mechie and Dameon Pierce. I think this would be a boost to all their values. People aren't going to be excited about Davis Mills starting. Maybe some people, I take that back. Some people will be excited, but I think there'll be a lot more excited, a lot more people excited if Bryce Young or CJ Stroud even gets drafted by the Houston Texans.
I think the initial spike of them announcing that they're drafting a quarterback, I agree, would do that. But ultimately, what's going to drive up the supporting cast value is actual performance, right? At least as far as like throughout the season. So, I mean, if they draft Bryce Young before the season, and they plan to start him before the season even starts, you can probably get a nice bang for your buck on your Nikos, on your Mechis, Damian Pierce cards. If he comes out the gate stumbling, fumbling, doing not a whole lot of anything, then they're all going to go right back to where they came from. So I think that, yeah, you're right. It will make a big difference initially, but you need to see some consistency in order for people to really buy in. You saw how well Hurts played without, maybe a little bit of improvement to his passing game that was needed. People still weren't buying in, it didn't have the full toolkit right out of the box. And people just expect guys to come out of the draft and be like 100% Pro Bowl ready game, day one. That's just not how it works.
Have you seen the new Donruss design yet?
I have not. Is there some?
Oh, you have not seen it?
Do we have some pictures?
In just 2 weeks. Wait, prepare yourself. You're sitting down, right? Yeah, you're sitting down. Prepare yourself. Check this out, man. Look at this. I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. There you go.
Interesting.
That's your reaction? Interesting?
There's some geometry going on there. A lot of cubism.
They're 3D cards, man. They're 3D cards.
Not bad.
They're trying to blend the physical, tactile sports card with the NFT. The one thing that I'm disappointed about is that the Rated Rookie logo is not on a 3D pedestal. Like, what the hell? What the hell, Panini? You're going to elevate the Donruss logo here, but you're not going to elevate the Rated Rookie logo? Like, come on. That was a miss. Like, who's the manager over these designers that make these cards?
They need people like us. I know that for a certainty, to elevate the product to the next level. It's not bad. I'm not sure I love it yet, but not bad. Do we have any pictures of the the inserts at all?
Yeah, let me go back over to the inserts. I love this
comment. Do we
comment.
have an acetate product yet? Is my question.
Check out the Rated Rookie portrait autographs. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Check that out. There's some inserts for you.
Okay, those portraits are pretty nice looking.
There's the new rookies.
All right.
The gridirons. Yeah, the portrait autographs are pretty interesting.
All right. Yeah, no, I like that.
And then there you go. Here's the night moves and the Super Bowl downtown.
I'm really curious to see, is there a optic preview this year? I would hope.
I guarantee there's got to be an I don't know why they would get rid of the optic preview. Yeah, okay, there we go. 4 optic rated rookies per case, and those are going to be optic previews. So yeah, definitely
per case. Wow,
per case. Yeah, that's how rare they are, and I think they've been a little bit more common in the past, but optic preview is super rare, guys. And if you haven't seen it, like, you can catch it by the little P on the back. I'm curious to see what
we were just talking about mail that I got today. It would just so happen that we're having this conversation.
Oh, here, let me blow you up. About to reveal something big.
I didn't go too wild, but it's one of my guys. It's a nice
I wanted to do this. There you go.
Higgins.
Nice. What is that? Green and red? Is that the optic green and red?
Yep.
It's preview?
The preview had like a couple colors: green and red, pink, regular hollow, and then all green, maybe. Or maybe there might have been there was a red and a purple in like the Fanatics special releases, I think, too.
Check that out, man. We're gonna mess with people's brains tonight. I'm on the right side now.
Let me zoom in on Steve. Zoom in on Steve.
Let me say hi to Victor, Blaine, Derek, Chad. What's good, man? What is good? Chad said the only way Tom Brady comes out of retirement is if Aaron Rodgers retires this year. He's not sharing the news cycle. Hell no. Seahawk Barn. Or I guess it's Barn. It should be BRN. BR. What do you think BRN stands for?
Ooh, I don't know. Born.
Born.
I gotta say that I kind of agree with Derek. I don't think it's a miss as a whole, but again, we're spoiled. We were spoiled by the 2020 class not that long ago, so we don't really have like any real big standout QBs. You could say Purdy is. I think he's more of like another Mac Jones hype spike like we saw in 21. We have a couple of really good receivers. We've got an outstanding defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson. But I think that, as a whole, if not for the Purdy mania, the 22 product might have been, having a hard time moving.
Yeah, super interesting. The price is where it's at compared to having to take out a loan for a Prism Hobby box.
Prices, I don't know. If I watched a video the other day on your expected return for breaks, so you would think it's probably pretty comparable for opening a box. And I think that the prices just have to come down, especially with the amount of product coming out. At some point, it's just going to discourage people from continuing to participate in the hobby. There's going to be too many options, too much money to spend. If you collect player A and there's 30 sets and there's 30 parallels per set, it's just insurmountable at some point where you're not going to be able to get to collect them all. And by the time you get anywhere close, next year's product's coming out and you're doing it all over again.
So I did think that the price of this year's Donruss is fairly comparable to like 2020 and 2021. If I remember, I'm trying to figure out which window I had it. I got too many windows open, man.
Victor said he bought an orange field level T. Higgins. Very nice, man. I have a ton of short T. Higgins, man.
22 Donruss, $229 for the hobby box. So that's only a couple dollars more than what it was for 2020. So from that standpoint, it's not bad. But I do agree with you when it comes to the retail product that people are buying in stores, especially on these flagship brands, and then the hit rates, because they have amplified the amount of boxes that they're making, right, in the print runs. So the hit rates are diluted, and people are not getting as much value as they once were out of their retail boxes. So that is like there used to be people flocking to Walmarts and Targets, stampeding to try and get those boxes, the premium product, to flip it on eBay for double. And the draft classes aren't as strong and the product's not as strong. So it's like a double whammy for the retail product. And that is definitely creating somewhat of, I think, an excess of supply for this 2022 product.
I will say this. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, too. If you're planning on buying any retail product, just whip your phone out, go on eBay real quick. Just see what those blasters are going for or those megas are going for. And I can almost for certainly promise that you can buy them on eBay with free shipping for less, like $10, $15 less. I don't know how, why, or what, but it's just the way it is. And in fact, I've put a box back on the shelf and right on the spot bought one off eBay and had it in my mailbox a few days later. So that is one thing I would recommend. What was the other thing? Oh, AP said check out Sports Cars Anonymous. Yeah, That's where I saw that video. Actually, they did 2 different 2022 products, and the expected return was something like 30%. So that's pretty harsh.
Oh yeah, dude. I cannot do breaking. I was absolutely burned on that. But it's like the entertainment value is high, right? It's the gamble of it is high, but your actual expected value that you're going to get back is low. You got to get lucky. And some people get lucky, and that's how they get hooked to doing it. So I get it. I get the thrill of it, of the hunt. And if you are going to do it, the best place to do it is right here on the Card Shop Live app, guys. Go check out Geo's card breaks. Go check out the sports card nonsense. Definitely want to check that out. I just got the report, dude. I'm blown away, man. There's been like over 150 people that have signed up using our link in the description below for the Card Shop Live app.
Very nice.
In the past 2 months. I don't know the exact number, but I looked at the initial report. It was several pages long. So I got to go and take all those people. When Donruss Hobby Box comes out, we're going to spin the wheel and we're going to do a big giveaway. So shout out to all you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I'd love to get your honest feedback so that if there are areas that they can improve, we give that to them and they improve, because I mean, they've got some really cool features like one-click grading at checkout, seamless shopping experience. They also do have a lot of singles. So it's not just box breaks. They have a lot of singles auctions live on there as well. So definitely want to check that out. Check out their link in the description below.
Here's a little thing today. Anything that even if I'm not necessarily going to buy it, I like to follow certain cards on eBay. I'll put them on my watch list, and it makes it easier to track, what they've been selling for lately in an auction format or buy it now format. Jalen Hurts XRC, obviously a really hot card right now. Obviously, he's in the Super Bowl. I could be wrong on this, but I want to say you could have bought it a couple months ago for like $265. I mean, I've seen a couple go for like over 500, close to 600, almost a 3x in just a couple months on that card. So if you guys haven't seen what kind of multiplier having a QB in the Super Bowl can do, it's pretty wild. And I think that closer to the game next week, it'll even be higher.
Yeah, I would love to do that real quick. Actually, what I like doing, I'll do 2020 Jalen Hurts XRC. Love the XRC, man. Let's see what we got. Oof, baby, look at that. PSA 10 Silver Prism. 2 minutes left. About to go for. We're gonna have to pop that sucker out, man. Very popular card. As you can see, 41 bids, no autograph, but XRC design, Silver Prism finish, scarcity. We think the print run has been estimated by several hobby experts at around 150. What's good? Jets Crazy 87, Tony Mancuso, Tom Bullard in the house, Gabe Davis fan number 1. And
Andy, there was a tie-dye you just scrolled past. Was it ending?
I scrolled past the tie-dye.
Oh man, that's nice.
Check out that. Sunday, 9:10 p.m., 18 bids.
I do have a bit of venting while we're talking about this card. I did submit a redemption to Panini for this card. Not the tie-dye, the base XRC. It's probably been over 6 months, and I haven't gotten any update on it. And I am a bit worried because I'm not worried about the long-term value of the card, but we do know they have a reputation for sending out something less than or equal to the value of the card that you redeemed. My big thing is this card is not autographed, Andy. What's the holdup?
Yeah, really. There's no sticker autograph you need to wait. Really, what is the holdup?
If they're waiting on a player to sign a card, I understand, but if the card is a non-auto, it should just be sitting in a bin somewhere and they can throw it in a box.
350, 329. I love this. I love this data right here, Steve. The raw compared to PSA 9. So you got the PSA 9. It's pretty consistent too. 350 Jan 27. There's another 9 right here, so you can see the price increase. 375. We've got the 10 that's getting ready to pop off here in 45 seconds for over 800. It'll be really interesting to see what this shoots up to. And then we've got some raw ones. Look at this raw one. Boom. Man, gotta love that one touch effect, brother. Plus buy it now. So Jan 24th. What was that? That was last Tuesday. Tuesday.
I swore I saw one end around lunchtime today for like 570 or 580.
The sad thing is,
seal on it.
This one looks like it's in a rookie card one touch as well. The angle's a little different. I kind of like the lighting better on this one, but lighting on both are good. And this one sold for 300. Like best offer accepted 300, 499. Wow, that's man. Talk about a massive disparity. Like, dude, somebody could have got 66% more out of their card than what they did. Yeah, I mean, you could see the clear, pretty serious pricing. This is Jan 11th, 301, you know. So as we go back in time here, another sealed by Panini, that definitely adds a nice little boost to it. That goes 348 over 300 for the 9. But yeah, man, you're not kidding. I mean, the XRCs are a very popular card.
I almost feel like, and I think we've discussed this in the past, I like it better in the Panini sealed than in the slab. What about you?
You like it better in the one touch sealed by Panini than in a PSA slab? Yeah,
now,
you know, I'm cool with that because I know that that's going to be somewhere between a 9 and a 10. Obviously, I'm not going to get 10 values out of it, but 851. They're the 10 went for 851. But at the same time, I love the sealed by Panini because it's like it's never been touched, you know, kind of card. And I think that appeals to a lot of collectors out there. They want something that's never been tainted. It's never been touched. It is straight from the factory, if you know what I mean. There's some other words you could use there to describe the card, but you guys get my gist. I mean, this is a fresh card sealed from the manufacturer in a single case. It didn't get opened out of a pack.
And we've seen on multiple occasions the one sealed from Panini going for more than the 9. So there's that.
Nice. That's actually what I'm going to look for right now. I want to see if there's any deals. This is one of my favorite ways to search, Steve, is just by set or specific cards. So in this case, I want to look for the 2021 select. Now, these are rookie cards for the 2022 draft class, but are they considered 2021 select XRC or is it 2021 select 2022 XRC? How do you think the proper way is to define this card from this year's draft class that came out of 2021 select hobby boxes only, by the way? I'm sure you knew that.
From my experience, if you are looking to get the best search results, just put the player XRC and look it up that way, because some people will list it as a 21 and some people will list it as a 22. It's kind of a gray area. So you might actually be limiting your search potential by doing it that way. If you look up select XRC and then the player name, I think by leaving the date or the year out, you're actually just fine.
I'm going to stop right here on this one for a second as Desmond Ritter here. I want to talk about this dude because I also saw a article today from the Athletics. Josh Kendall believes that it is unclear if the Falcons will stick with Desmond Ritter as their starting quarterback because no one inside the building is talking. So the story is not exactly a ringing endorsement of Ritter's first 4 NFL starts, that it is an open discussion. but the Falcons, picking 8th in the draft, don't appear likely to land a franchise quarterback without trading up. The Falcons continue to play things close to the vest under Arthur Smith, who is quoted as saying in the piece, "I know everybody wants to know everything right now, but there are a lot of moving parts to it. I don't think it's smart business strategy ever to give away what your plan is. We guess the Falcons will try to add veteran help at the position, but whether it is a challenger to Ritter or someone who outright is the starter is behind the Arthur Smith curtain." Is it possible that that Matt Ryan goes back to Atlanta to finish out his career? I mean, how crazy
Maybe.
would that be?
Maybe. I mean, if they just determine they're going to be like a dink and dunk handoff heavy team like they kind of are, I mean, maybe.
But is Matt Ryan at this point even better than Desmond Ritter?
It's hard to say. I mean, we didn't really see him have a whole lot of opportunity to do anything. He was already getting tackled by the time he had the ball in his hands like 8 out of 10 times. So maybe, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, they should probably just roll with Ritter, or if they're not convinced, draft someone else, or hey, go get your boy Minshew. Maybe he would be an immediate upgrade for that team. But they obviously have a lot of other holes. I think that realistically, they should just try to put their defense together and forego the quarterback for a little while. Look at how Tampa did it. You know, they had the whole team, but they didn't have a quarterback. They got Tom Brady. They won a Super Bowl. Now, not everyone can just go get Tom Brady, but you see what I'm saying. You know, if you have a great O-line, you have great receivers, you have a great defense. It's obvious where the hole in the team is. Now, there's plenty of franchises that can win with less. You know, Ravens won a lot of Super Bowls with their defense. So I think that you just got to figure out what you're looking to do. They're already run heavy. It would make more sense to build your defense up and go more of a traditional defense run heavy scheme like the Bears did all these years, like the Ravens do.
So here are the teams with a notable backup quarterback on the market this offseason. Baker Mayfield from the Rams, Teddy Bridgewater, Miami Dolphins, Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew, Tyler Huntley, PJ Walker, and Cooper Rush. Those are the notable backups that are going to be free agents in just another month or so.
I think out of those guys, you should be targeting Minshew or Brissett, unless you're just looking for like a warm body while you rebuild. I think those are the two main guys out of that group.
And then we can cross Tom Brady off the list in terms of starters on the market. He's retired. Daniel Jones is likely to get the franchise tag from the Giants. He'll be back there. Lamar Jackson, likely to get re-signed with the Ravens. All signs indicate he's likely to get re-signed. Geno Smith, I think that more and more stories are coming out that he's likely to get re-signed by the Seahawks. Jimmy Garoppolo with the 49ers. Now that's an interesting one. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. Are either one of those guys going to be ready in September? Do they do another 1-year deal for Jimmy Garoppolo? Last year they made him like the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL. They may do it again. They need somebody there at QB. I don't know what the recovery timeline is going to be like for Brock Purdy. And I don't know what Trey Lance's recovery, if he'll be ready or not, you know?
I think they said he's able to start hitting the field in a couple weeks for Trey Lance. Purdy, if he needs the UCL surgery, which is Tommy John surgery, he's going to need probably close to a year, sometimes a hair longer or a hair shorter, but he might miss the whole season, realistically.
Yeah, so not looking good for him. And then you also have Sam Darnold with the Carolina Panthers. That'll be an interesting one, somewhat. Andy Dalton with the Saints. And then Mike White, the New York Jets. I'll tell you, speaking of the New York Jets and our man Jets Crazy here, he just mentioned he bought a couple XRCs of Sauce. I think he said Breece Hall, or did he say Garrett Wilson? But I'll tell you, this is a deal right here, Steve. It's ending in just under an hour. We got a silver XRC auction on Garrett Wilson from Probes Team. Love this card because he is absolutely turned into the alpha wide receiver for the Jets. I think he's quarterback proof. This guy is really freaking good and balled out this past year, man, in terms of advanced metrics. He was pretty good, man. Pretty good. I'm looking at some of his stats right here. Let's see. Dominator rating, number 21. Receiving yards, 1,103. That was 14th. Over 1,500 air yards. That was 11th. 19 red zone targets. That was 9th best amongst wide receivers. So top 6 in targets. Number 6 in targets. So pretty good, especially when you consider that he played with 4 different quarterbacks over the span of the season. And none of those guys were exceptionally great. Like probably, Mike White had his little game in the sunshine, and then, Joe Flacco had his game in the sunshine, and then Zach Wilson showed up for like half a game against the Steelers, and that was pretty much it. Chris Trevler showed up for half a game, but ran the ball most of the time.
Yeah, he could be really, really good with a better quarterback. And I think that opens up some opportunities for Elijah Moore too, who we saw just the year before do great things and maybe even be the better by, obviously on a card by card basis, but because his value is so down right now.
I saw this report as well, man. The Rams are interested in picking up Mike White. Yeah, I think it would give you a little bit of a news bump there on Mike White cards. I think that with the rumors around the Jets, if they did somehow trade for Aaron Rodgers, that would be massive, man. We know the Jets are absolutely in the hunt for a quarterback. Absolutely in the hunt for a quarterback. They are not happy with quarterback position at all, and their defense is really good. They got a lot of other good pieces on there, man. The wide receivers, the running back, you have Breece Hall back, rookie contract. Michael Carter's still good. Come on. The team is good, man. They just need a quarterback in place, and they're contenders in that division. Miami made Vic Fangio one of the highest paid defensive coordinators ever, trying to bring that gold to Miami next year, bring the Lombardi to Miami next year. They're fighting, man. That's why I almost think the Bills, I hate to say it, Tom, Bills may regress a little bit in the division. Division only seems like it's getting tougher in the old AFC East, but it's going to be tough, man, especially if the Jets pick up a good quarterback here this offseason. What do you think, Steve? And then I'll give my thoughts on CSG.
No, I agree. I thought that I think pending the Tua injuries that they took that division, and that remains to be seen if he can stay healthy or not. And what else? The Jets, yeah. With good quarterback play, we saw how well they did in the first half of the year, and they have some really potent defensive players, and now they have some really potent offensive players too. And I remember before the season, Andy, I said I thought the Jets were going to beat the Ravens week 1, and I got scoffed at, harder than Goff got scoffed at, and Jets turned out to be pretty damn good. So I think that they continue to improve, especially if Breece Hall coming back. You're right. That division gets a lot harder to predict, and it does seem like there is some Bills regression in progress.
So this is what I'll say about CSG. You can see their bulk prices here are $12 per card, 20-day turnarounds, 25 card minimum, $250 max declared value. This is what I'll say about them. They have very nice plastic. Like the plastic is really good. It's super thick. But what I don't like about them is that PSA is only $15 now, and CSG is still not getting the same resale value as them. They're like neck and neck with SGC right now. And from what I've seen. and you only got $15 grading with PSAs. So I think it just from, unless you really want to make sure you get it back quick, I will say this, that CSG does turn around quick. They do put it in very thick, durable plastic. It does look nice. It's like ultra clear, non-scratch, and everything. It's much nicer than the PSA slab, but the only thing that holds them back is the resale value. I'll say they charge an upcharge to grade the autograph, and if it's a thick card. So for a thick holder, it's an extra $5. For the autograph grades, an extra $2. But they didn't charge me for any of the autograph grades on our last couple group submissions. They just did it for whatever. They just did it, and they didn't charge me extra. The one thing I will say to be cautious, and I don't know if PSA is like this because I've never done my own submission through PSA, is that they didn't charge me until after they actually graded my cards. Like, it was literally, I was expecting money to come out of my bank account whenever I submitted them, but money didn't come out of my bank account until like weeks later, weeks later, and when they actually were done grading them. So that's something you definitely want to be aware of.
I like their slabs. I submitted some cards when we did our group submission. I like the slabs. I do agree that, more often than not, PSA has the name recognition. So they're just typically going to fetch just a hair more dollar-wise. If you're not getting like really high-end stuff graded, it's maybe not that big of a deal. But like Andy said, they are offering, more than competitive pricing right now. So personal preference, realistically, is what it comes down to. For my personal preference, I like SGC because I like to display my slabs. I think they just look better on my wall. But that's why it comes down to personal preference. If you're doing it exclusively to flip, PSA might be the way to go for you, but personal preference.
Yeah, what's up? So shout out to our guy Late Stick. Guys got to check out his PSA reveals that he does on his channel. He says PSA bulk's taking about 5 weeks at the moment. It's PSA or bust, and got to get the Kadarius Toney plug in. Not sure what the injury status is. Mecole Hardman's out. I haven't got the latest on Kadarius Toney, although I feel like he's always banged up. I'm pulling him up right now. Let's see. Oh, he practiced. Kadarius Toney ankle practice Thursday. So it's likely Kadarius Toney in some capacity will be playing in the Super Bowl, although it'll be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, dropping people's elbows on people, on other players. They'll be doing people's elbows. And what was the other move that The Rock used to do?
The rock bottom.
The rock bottom and people's elbows from the top rope for Travis Kelce. On Darius Slay. Oh, James Bradbury's about to get people elbowed on.
Before we get too far off topic, Andy, doesn't have to be right now, but I sent you in the private chat. Remember I was telling you about the Hertz I found that got auctioned earlier for a lot more than you were finding? It actually covered our analysis, and it actually covered a viewer question that they had about the year.
Bam! So, check out this 2019 Select XRC. Yeah.
So I was watching that one around lunchtime, and as you can see, it was listed as a 2019, not a 2020. It is sealed by Panini. In the middle of the day, it still got almost 500, Andy.
Fire.
Yeah.
Fire. So that's up almost 100%. We'd love to see it.
I sent you another one that I think is going to really impress you because we just saw another PSA 10 of that card end. How about this one? This is where it goes to show sometimes patience is a virtue.
Let me pull this bad boy up over on 130. Let's see what it went for.
Bam.
Best offer accepted from 1200.
It's 9. Yeah, I pulled it up on 130.
Oh, you did? It's 900?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. What did let's see what did that other one go for that I was watching? If I was 851. 851. There you go. But 45 bids though.
It's big money, man. Big money. It just goes to show you growth out of any player when they vastly improve, specifically from the QB massive multiplier you get for being a quarterback.
So if the Jalen Hurts goes for 851 and PSA 10, this person's got their Devonta Smith listed at 249. But the thing is, like, man, you would have bids on this and you would have watchers if you would have just started at 99 cents. The other thing, dude, this is shady as hell. Who puts a screenshot of their card? Come on, man. This is like a cardinal rule that you do not do. This is the one thing I see this kind of crap and I'm like immediately sketched out like you would not believe.
My whole thing with that is that if you're reusing someone's photo like from when you bought it, that's cool, but I mean, show some class and crop your phone stuff out of there.
Your battery's about to die, man. He doesn't have time.
He must have been really excited to put that listing up, forgot to charge his phone.
I mean, that is super shady. Big Papa Chunga said it right here. He said, super shady, little effort as possible. You ain't kidding, man.
Here's the thing, though. Like you said about starting it at 99 cents or whatever, like he probably would have got close to 250. I bet he probably would have got close to 250. But it's because of the way he presented the listing that someone's going to look at that and be like, no.
So while we got you here and our Bills expert in the house, Tom Bullard, J Kidd, I got a question for you guys. What's the Bills' next move at running back? I'm looking at a James Cook. Once again, the person set it up for 100. So it's like, why would I buy a James Cook PSA 10 when I can get a Garrett Wilson for like 50? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do some basic comparison here. If you really are serious about selling your card, you might as well put this in a buy it now for 100,
Right.
But Devin Singletary is an unrestricted free agent, and it's unclear if the Bills view James Cook or Nyheim Hines as a true every down answer. And we know, like, all the analysts and experts are talking about, the Bills have got to figure out a way to run the ball more effectively and better, make their offense more dynamic.
Do you know what's interesting, Andy? Do you know who one of the most efficient pass-catching running backs in the NFL is?
Is it Devin Singletary?
He's up there, not on a yards per catch basis.
I mean, I knew it. I don't know this last year, but it's always been like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is like,
oh yeah. I mean, he's got the volume. But just for the entertainment, go look at David Montgomery's receiving numbers for this year. Look at his targets, and then look at his receptions, and tell me what you think.
Oh yeah, David Montgomery is a good receiving back, for sure.
And here's the thing: is he's not even as efficient as he is. He's underutilized because they're not throwing. I mean, for the first 12 games of the season, Justin Fields just took off with the ball. Remember that bet you made? He only had to pass the ball 13 times for you to win your underdog bet.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, I know.
That's
sad,
how
man.
little they were throwing the ball.
Yeah. Tom says Cook and Hines probably late round draft pick, maybe, but I think they let Motor go sadly, and I have his select gold out of 10. Yeah. But they didn't incorporate Nyheim Hines at all. So that's an interesting storyline to follow. Obviously, any offensive skill weapon on the Bills will get some hype, and definitely interesting topic of conversation. The other one is David Montgomery. No, I'm glad you brought him up because we're talking about 2019 running backs like Devin Singletary, and you've got a 2021 rookie behind him in the form of Khalil Herbert, who has been super efficient. And it's like, will the Chicago Bears finally unleash Khalil Herbert this year?
The thing about David Montgomery is he can be very efficient even with a trash old line. So given his production with us, and not to mention that he's an amazing receiver. If you go look at the numbers, Andy, I don't know if you got those pulled up or not, but his yards per catch is very high. His his reception per pass attempt towards him is exceptionally high. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you look at the number of receptions versus targets, it'd be hard to believe there's anyone else in the league at any position that has a higher catch rate than him.
Yeah, advanced receiving. He is top 10 in route participation, number 3 in yards per reception amongst running backs at 9.3. Number 3 at catch rate, too. Third best running back in the NFL at catch rate, 85%. A very, very few drops. He's got a high juke rate, which is the evaded tackles per touch, number 9, with 81 overall evaded tackles, which is 8th best amongst running backs this past year. But he is, and this goes back to the Chicago Bears. And, I mean, you guys, traded away Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn this past year. And, David Montgomery is going to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason, Steve.
I'll be sad to see him go, but, he's the kind of guy, he's a likable guy. He runs so hard that I just want to see him flourish, wherever he goes. If he stays with us, that'd be exciting. But if not, I just want to see him finally do what I know he's capable of. And if he ends up somewhere that, has even an above average line, that would be probably his career best year.
And Khalil Herbert does not have many rookie cards. And, athletically speaking, when I have seen him, check out that Dragon scale out of 89 right there that's a new listing. That's 19 or best offer with the shipping. This is a scenario where I would come in here, try and maybe get a couple dollars off on this guy because I love the Dragon scale. I think this is a really cool card. But I hate that shipping price tag. Condition looks great. I would either try and mine his shop and get a bunch of cards consolidated together, get consolidated shipping, or see if he can give me a discount to take that shipping down a little bit. But yeah, this is a solid snipe right there for Khalil Herbert. I mean, he may be a 6th-round draft pick, but the guy was incredibly efficient. Number 7 in juke rate. So we're talking evaded tackles per touch, 7th best amongst running backs. So 5.7 yards per touch, that's 7th best. True yards per carry, which discounts all runs greater than 10 yards, which puts a premium on consistency and factors out the disproportionate impact of long runs. So his true yards per carry were 5.2. That's 5th best amongst running backs in the NFL. So as a pure runner, Khalil Herbert, really good. Really good.
Yeah, if you watched any of the games, the guy it's like a bowling ball or a turtle. He just hits tacklers and just bounces and rolls off them and doesn't seem to be affected by, that checkerboard. I like me some checkerboard action.
You like checkerboard? Are you going to need me to bid on this for you, Steve?
And that optic right under it is out of 50, Andy, for $3.40. Yeah, either one of those.
So you didn't get to vent about your eBay saga that you've been dealing with. And I believe that there is some learning lessons in this. And last week I hyped it up at the beginning of the stream and we got rambling like we normally do, like we're doing right now. And we never got to it. So I want you to share this. I know you've been dying to share this with everybody. You got to get it off your chest, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Let me pull my account up here so I can share this story the best possible. So basically what happened was I had 3 negative interactions as a buyer in a matter of 2 days, which is very, I would say, uncommon because I do buy a lot and I don't really have that many negative interactions, but I had 3 in a matter of 2 days, and that was pretty disheartening. One in particular, Andy, and the reason that is because I was so excited about the card. I told you about it and a couple other people, but I didn't tell you what it was. I was just excited that I was going to get to reveal it pretty soon. It was sent to the eBay authentication. I was waiting for it to come. Long story short, the gentleman who clearly doesn't know what he's doing sent the card with other cards to eBay authentication. Didn't send it by itself. So the tracking never updated. So I waited about 3 weeks and I was like, hey, do we have an update? There's no tracking info, He's like, it's at eBay authentication. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I know for a fact that there'd be tracking for those you don't know, when it's sent to authentication, you do receive tracking that it is going to the authentication facility. Then you'll get tracking from authentication to your home. So I wrote eBay and I'm like, hey, I'm just looking for some information. I just want to know that the card's coming and I'm not being scammed, yada, yada, yada. The seller had a good reputation. So I was like, hey, just want an update. When do you think the card will be here? I don't want to cancel. I'm being patient. I just want some kind of update. I just spent a lot of money on this card. The next notification I get, Andy, is the seller canceling the transaction. So I absolutely flip out on him on eBay, and they're like, there's nothing we can do.
What?
And they gave me a refund. Yeah.
What? Why the song and the dance for so long, and for him to cancel it? Do you think it turned up to be fake, and he was trying to save
so.
face?
He sent me a picture. He sent me a picture about the card was supposedly at authentication, but what ended up happening, I looked at the seller's other recent negative reviews. Evidently, he didn't know they had to be sent separately. He sent like 5 cards in one package to the authenticator. So many other people thought they were getting scammed too, because they couldn't get tracking for their cards. So don't do what that guy did. If you're sending a card out for someone to authentication, it has to be sent by itself. So I think it's now time for me to tell you why I'm mostly upset. Because if it was just any other card I could buy, Andy, I wouldn't be that upset. But it was a 1 of 1.
Oh,
it was a rookie ticket auto 1 of 1.
A rookie ticket auto 1 of 1.
Now,
are you going to reveal who the player was?
Obviously, most QBs would be out of my budget, but it was a hometown hero of yours and mine, of one of our teams, and it was a Shaq Barrett. 1 of 1 rookie ticket auto, man. Yeah. Got a great deal on it, and I'm definitely still a bit butthurt over it. Now, just the very next morning, I bought a Jaquan Brisker Panini Black auto, and I got a notification a few hours later that the seller refunded me, and his reason was it didn't sell for enough.
Oh,
yeah.
Just no shame at all. Just wow, that's man. Tom said, yeah, sometimes too good to be true with auctions. That's a new scam. Send wrong card authentication, so it comes back and cancels if undersells.
Could be. I mean, the guy did send me a picture. Now, it didn't say where the picture was from, but it did show several other cards on a table. It could have been from his house. It could have been from the authentication place, but it looks like the other people that complained with the same complaint I had the cards that were listed in the photo. So I don't know. All I know is I'm quite disappointed. That's not the kind of card you can just go buy from a different seller, you know.
David Bosquet out here in the chat looking for some Trey Lance. He's hunting down the Trey Lance, trying to load up that collection, get ready for September. I think right now is a good time. Honestly, I mean, Trey Lance is at rock bottom. Like, if you think he's going to get another starting shot, I think he does. Like, draft capital goes a long way, goes a long way. It's the reason why guys like Gabe Davis, so the remain average for the rest of their career, and the middling, they'll get their middling opportunities. And the reason why guys like Trey Lance are going to probably get another starting shot. Zach Wilson may get another starting shot because of his draft capital. Who knows?
I think the Lance opportunity is pretty good right now because there's just too much questions around who's going to start. But once they officially say Purdy's going to have Tommy John surgery, it pretty much lines up for him to at least start the season as the starting quarterback. So once that news happens, they'll jump back up. There's a lot of Lance truthers out there. So even if you're not one of them, it'd be a good opportunity to flip.
Very nice. Optic Hollows for $10. I need that. I need to bring my Optic Hollow price down. While I'm pulling up the auctions for Trey Lance that are ending soonest to see what kind of deals are out on eBay right now, what's your prediction for the Super Bowl, Steve?
Oh man, depends on if the refs are playing or not. But I got the Eagles. I do have to say, I know that's the elephant in the room. I've never seen so much outcry from people who aren't even Team A or Team B's fans. Like, go to the internet and complain about officiating. I think that the play at the end of the game was the nail in the coffin, but there was seemingly some giveaways throughout the game, mainly in the fourth quarter that really stung, but it was at least close. I mean, the Eagles, we got that one right. That wasn't even remotely close. Even if Purdy was healthy and played well, the Niners defense wasn't stopping the Eagles. It didn't even seem like they had to try that hard.
Yeah, it upset Joe Mixon so much. It looks like his charges are going to be dropped, but he had a misdemeanor for aggravated menacing. What is aggravated menacing? I've never heard of this. I've never. He's wanted on aggravated menacing. Local sports reporter Chris Renkel has confirmed pointing a gun at a woman in downtown Cincinnati. He allegedly said, "You should be popped in the face, and I should shoot you now." What? No way. This allegedly, guys. This is allegedly. This would be an extremely serious situation for any player, but especially disturbing in Mixon's case after he was caught on camera punching a woman in college. Geez, Mixon's got some history, right? And this goes back to a part of the reason why Mixon's values weren't higher than, like, the peak for Mixon wasn't ever as high as other guys from his same 2017 draft class, because of antics like this off the field. Apparently, the charges are expected to be dropped on Friday. Mixon's agent claims the charge was the result of a rush to judgment. Mixon's player rep isn't exactly a reliable narrator for the situation, but is also doubtful he would say something as concrete as the charge will be dropped without it being true. What the fallout might be remains unclear for a player who has a documented history of violence against women. Dear God, man. Well, it sounds like he was definitely in some type of shady situation. I highly doubt if the charges are being dropped, he said something like that. That's pretty extreme. But still, the reasons like this are what give Mixon's rookie card values kind of a black eye, so to speak. And it holds them back from realizing their true potential when he does break out, on the field.
Since you asked, Andy, who do you got next Sunday?
Oh, I'm going with the Eagles, man. I'm going with the Eagles, although Kansas City has the experience. I think that the Eagles defense is good enough to generate a turnover or two and actually turn the tide in the Eagles' favor. So I think ultimately, it's in Arizona, so you don't get home field advantage for either team. And ultimately, I think the Eagles are coming in a little bit healthier, a little bit fresher, a little bit more dynamic on defense and on offense when you combine their run and pass game together. So can never count out the Kansas City because they have so much Super Bowl experience now, and they're proven winners. And Patrick Mahomes is he's just insane out there. So, and especially when you combine him with Travis Kelce. But I'll say one of the big takeaways I had from last week, Steve, I was a little disappointed, and maybe it's just because he's a rookie. Like, Isaiah Pacheco is super explosive, and I want to see him be so good, but his vision as a running back and being able to find the holes is just bad. It's just bad. Like, I was watching the highlight film today of Bijan Robinson, who's going to be like the top running back to go in this upcoming draft class from Texas. And the guy has got such good vision. He's not nearly as fast as a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, but he's got such good vision and elusiveness and spatial awareness and knowing when a guy's on the side of him, when a guy's behind him, whenever he needs to pop to the left or the right or do a spin move. And because of that, he was able to generate so many more yards after contact and so many more breakaway runs, where I see Isaiah Pacheco running into butts of offensive linemen like constantly, He just runs full blast ahead in right into the back of a bunch of linemen. It's like, dude, you got to have some vision, got to have a little bit of vision.
Yeah, too much speed. Got to wait for those holes to open up.
Yeah, and so you can actually find guys like Bijan. We had Bryce Young pulled up earlier. I don't know if you're looking at any of these, Steve, but I'm already looking at them because of the draft. Like that is a direct hype. Like so Bijan gets drafted to a team with a middling quarterback. I think this kind of helps him, right? I think this kind of helps his values. It goes more so the other way whenever a good quarterback gets drafted or traded to a team, then the wide receivers will see this price spike and the running backs and stuff. But I think it goes from like an actual performance and team performance standpoint is, getting a guy like Bijan Robinson is going to be a difference maker for your offense.
No, absolutely. And on the flip side of that discussion, prepping for the draft now, which is a great idea. Speaking of the draft, guys that maybe were in the previous year's draft class or 2 or 3 before that are just starting to ascend a little bit, that's like all eyes are going to be on the draft. You can find some really good deals around that time for guys that maybe were from the previous draft class that are, now kind of like an afterthought, if you will.
These are like your pen pals here for college players. It's not licensed, but it is, going to be one of his first on-card autos, and it is serial numbered. And Onyx does have this reputation for making these unlicensed cards. Like they're a legit manufacturer. They make solid cards. It's not the fancy chrome, silver, prism, X-Fractor type finish like the Leaf metal and stuff has, but still some of the first on-card autographs you'll find for these college athletes, and they're pretty cool, man. They're pretty cool. I actually think that this one has a little bit of upside just because of how rare his rookie autos are going to be around draft time, and I think there's a pretty decent chance he goes in the first round. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen multiple times, but I running backs are going later and later. They're just not quite as valuable, but this guy he's a really good receiver too. I'll say this guy's got the full bell cow skill set. I mean, he's a really freaking good receiver. I was watching him just lay out for some passes. So he's got the full skill set, man.
It said 3 sold in the last 24 hours. So that must be an attractive price point, especially with the make it offer button.
Are you talking about the Onyx?
Yeah.
Wait, I missed that. Oh, 4 available, 4 sold.
Yeah, right there. 3 sold in the last 24.
Oh, yeah. Look at that, man. Well, you know what it is? It got the Senior Bowl this weekend. And I'm telling you, the draft hype is starting to heat up. I mean, this is going to be the full talk. Our dynasty leagues are, going to draft in May. And everything through the free agency and this kind of trade cycle that's going to start after the Super Bowl leads up into the draft. So it's going to be fun. I definitely want to have some exposure to some of these college players and see how they do, because last year I was super early on some guys and actually paid off in a couple spots. So I think I'm going to try and tackle that again, man. I want to try and get some exposure to some of these guys. Maybe try and find some Bryce. I'm okay with something like this. Maybe a lava refractor if I can get this card for closer to like $10 or so. But I think this card will do pretty well if it's because it's serial numbered. Yeah, it's serial numbered 73 out of 100. But ultimately, I'm looking for autographs. I think that's where the sweet spot's going to be.
I agree. Because even if he does well during the regular season, something with an auto is still going to have a high demand.
Yeah, I think for a lot of guys, the draft is one of the most exciting events of the year. For a lot of guys, it's even more exciting than the Super Bowl.
It's the prospecting. I think that's a big part of it. It's the prospecting. I don't know if you played Madden back in the day, the whole franchise mode, and it was cool to win the Super Bowl, but that offseason, man, when you could draft players, trade for players, that was actually more exciting than playing the games was a lot of the times.
Yeah. So So in the coming weeks, we're going to really start evaluating team needs. We're going to break it down team by team, guys, as we transition into our offseason mode. And we're going to do live eBay sniping team by team. And that involves college prospects. We're going to get deep into the weeds of prospecting and trying to anticipate where these players are going to land. And then ultimately, like, get exposure directly to the player coming out, but then also to some of the supporting guys, especially planning wide receivers that are about to get a quarterback upgrade through the draft or through free agency for some of those storylines we mentioned earlier tonight, Steve. So definitely, guys, make sure you subscribe, stay tuned, share with a friend. You said the Eagles. Is that who you gave us tonight, Steve?
Going with the Eagles. I got one little piece of advice before we log off. The Super Bowl's next week. If you have Eagles, if you have any Chiefs, especially if you have quarterbacks, get them listed by Saturday night in a 7-day auction or by Monday night in a 5-day auction. Make sure you get them ended. If you're going to end them, I've done an ending at Super Bowl halftime before. It worked out just fine. But don't go after the game. Doesn't work out as well. Some of that hype immediately dies when the game's over, just so you know.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of that, next week, as we get closer to the game, we're going to be looking at the prop bets on underdogfantasy.com. Promo code Quest. Get it going, man. Get it ready, because they do have props for. They got props for March Madness. They got props for esports, NBA, MLB, NHL, the whole 9 yards. Check it out. Promo code Quest gets you 100% instant deposit bonus at sign up. But Steve, we're going to let you get out of here tonight. I know you have some commitments and to some things to take care of, and so do I. So we're going to get out of here tonight, guys. It's been a blast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in that next one. Peace.
Good night, everyone.